This week in the League of Legends, we finally get around to reviewing Gangplank. We got a little bit to play with them. Now we're getting to them. Right along with that, we have Act 2 of the Bildgewater event, followed closely by Act 3 here in the coming days. And finally, some stuff on the PBE. All this and more on the Spastic Gaming web show.
This is Water Elemental.
And this is Axis, and we are here today to talk about the League of Legends. This is an ongoing show. We're talking a little bit about everyone's favorite MOBA-style battle game.
Gangplank!
GP. Very interesting. His kit wasn't changed fundamentally, but it was changed practically.
Yeah.
So, the main thing that got replaced was Raise Morale. It was taken out, and he was given these barrels instead. So this is a hit to his passive crit, his passive move speed, and his passive damage, and the activation to give him the team utility. What they've given him instead is obviously the Exploding Barrel, which is basically that stored up charge that you can drop. It becomes sort of this ticking thing where it has a number of hits it takes to destroy it. It counts down from 3 to 2 to 1. And then at 1 you can shoot it or auto attack it and it'll blow up. Do the amount of damage that you did to it, to everything in an AoE. It will also penetrate armor, a percentage of the enemy's armor, and will grant Gangplank bonus move speed.
Doesn't it also refresh his passive?
Yes, it does. So his passive is applied to everything in the AoE. No. It doesn't apply everything to the AoE. It applies it to his next basic attack. So you can use it to refresh your passive, much as he said. So you auto-attack an enemy, hit the barrel, auto-attack again. You can double dip the chip. The barrel additionally can blow up other barrels if they're within the AoE range, which is really neat. So you can basically chain together explosions, as many as you like. However, the barrels do have a limited amount of time. They're easily destroyed by enemies, and
they grant 10 gold.
They grant 10 gold. So you want to be mindful, and you can only chain together a certain amount because they have a timer, and they have charges. So you could put down, I think, 3, because 3 is the cap, and then I think you can fit in 1 extra if you time it just right, but usually it's going to be a chain of 3. Now, the big thing that also changed about his kit was obviously his passive, which went from a poison dot to now a true damage dot that doesn't grant him a slow anymore, unfortunately, but it's a little bit more damage, and it's true damage, which is good. And he has a passive on his Q, Parlay. Whenever he last hits a minion with this ability, he gets some mana back, obviously. He gets some bonus gold, and he gets the special meta currency, which is applied as a buff to his character, which allows him to spend 500 coins on his ultimate, which gives it a bonus ability, which is everything from initial bonus damage, increased damage over time, or move speed to allies within the zone. Each upgrade costs about 500 silver serpents at the shop, and
only one at a time.
You can only get one at a time. You can get all 3, but they each cost 500. And from what I was seeing, you usually get between 3 and 9 serpents per kill or per minion kill. I think it increases as the game goes on, from what I was noticing.
I'm not sure. I haven't played
But towards the start, it was 3 to 9, and it sort of moved up as the game went on. I'm not sure the exact metrics on that. But gameplay.
Actually, he's gotten a lot more aggressive because of his passive and those the barrels. He's able to really set up nests in top lane or an ARAM where he's just he's always harassing, using like the barrels to poke from far away, coming up, using his parlay, his Q, and he's immune to most CC, so he's able to come in, use the CC, get out of there, and then walk away. So that's really interesting.
See, I got the reverse impression. Old Gangplank for me was really kind of weak in lane. He really needed a lot of items to make him work, but once he got to, mid-game, late game, because of the bonuses on Raise Morale, because of the way that his remove scurvy worked, and because of the range of his ulti, he could get a lot of work done because, crit with Parlay plus the crit from your Raise Morale and the damage from your morale and the move speed, no one could catch you. Scurvy was really good, and Parlay would two-shot people.
Yeah.
These days, Parlay does about the same damage, but because he's missing the crit move and damage of Raise Morale, especially on the activation, he does less damage if you don't set up with a cannonball. His remove scurvy is percentage based now, and so it's less than that. But the move speed on his barrel is nice, but again, Raise Morale was a little nicer because it was on demand. You didn't have to drop a barrel, run through it, and pop it on your way.
The problem with Raise Morale is because originally it was set up to be the only skill in the game to deny creeps from your opponent, it was very, very strong, so they had to remove the creep denial tool, and they had to, use it only on enemies, and then they said, okay, it's just going to be a buff to yourself. So there wasn't a real way to balance it after what originally it was used for, and then kind of keep it useful after the fact that they took out one of the best mechanics of it. So they had to essentially switch it out at this point. It was a mechanic that either was too powerful or too weak, didn't make Gangplank useful, made Gangplank too useful, so they gave him a little bit more of an active ability to roll. The fact that the barrel charges can be used to farm minions and get that bonus from Parlay is extremely useful, and that's why I'm saying he's very, very aggressive, because using powder kegs to farm, and if you're in that kind of like chain, you're taking the damage too. So that's what I've seen.
I've just not been intimidated by his plays. Powder keg's really easy for me personally to dodge.
Oh yeah.
And because he's less mobile, and because he's not healing quite as much with scurvy, he really has to use his powder kegs as a getaway rather than a setup in cases that I've found so far. So I've been playing a lot of support lately, and a little bit of mid lane. And most times we just blow him up and he dies, because he has to get really close, and he doesn't have sort of that in and out juking potential. Like usually, pop Raise Morale, sprint towards the carry, fire a parlay, and run away. And then all of a sudden it's like, carry has to base.
Doesn't he also use static shift, so he hits people he would use to hit with his passive,
Yep.
hit with static, pop, run.
Yeah, and it was really good damage, and it was interesting, and in team fights, if he wasn't pressured, he would do damage. Because if he was just got tagged with AoE, remove scurvy, he's fine. Now, remove scurvy works kind of well. If you set up your barrel right, it kind of works, but I've never had like a really crazy chain play, except for like one time when he was on my team, and I thought it was really cool. But of like the 6 games of GP I've had, I've only had one really interesting barrel play.
People are still learning how to use the barrels.
Sure, but for now, unimpressed.
What skills do you see people using for his ultimate? I've only seen the fast fire.
Fast fire is incredibly good.
Yeah, and I've seen one with the front damage and then the slow AoE. And that was on ARAM, which it dealt enough damage, but I still think the damage over time was still dealing more damage.
Gangplank's ult's never been something that people are going to stay in the whole time. So initial burst is kind of neat. It's not very much damage. Ultimately, I like to think of Gangplank's ult as an area denial tool, in which case the rapid firing is the best way to go.
And it's definitely popped during team fights to kind of set down where you want to have combat, and anything in there is going to be primary target. It's kind of like how old Maokai. It's like when Maokai put down his ult, that's where your team's going to fight. Anything in that should be dead. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I've seen anybody use the Raise Morale, ever.
Yeah, I mean, even super late game, you're just not getting enough creep farm to get the serpents to upgrade it.
It's just the move speed and the fact that you got to blow your ultimate for it. It's just, you're a damage character, and you really don't need all that movement speed. And there's other upgrades that deal more and fit the role more. Yeah, someone's gonna say, well, you're just not using Raise Morale right. It's like, if I'm gonna be playing a damage character, especially top lane, I'm not gonna be using my damage AoE for my personal movement speed buff.
Yeah, you got barrels for that. So
Right.
literally, it comes down to a utility tool. In which case, having the damage to scare them off, or having the increased slow because the barrages are hitting faster, is a better choice. But that's my thought. Overall, I think Gangplank is weaker. He's more fun to play.
Oh,
if
yeah.
that's any consolation, he's a lot more fun to play.
I think a few tweaks to Barrel and Parlay might give him
Yeah, they
an
need to
edge.
give Parlay more damage. Is what it comes down to. I wouldn't say a lot more damage, but a little bit more, and make his Burning Blade do more. make it more interesting to get your melee attacks in. Because Gangplay's always been known as fire my gun, and auto-attacking a character, hitting your barrel, then auto-attacking again, the damage just isn't there.
It seems like he focused more on the barrels than he does actually an opponent.
Yeah, and his parlay... The parlay is the reason people are playing Gangplank. Builds get around that. Don't build it around melee into barrel into melee. It's not going to work.
But then again, being able to chain off, you passive, barrel using parlay, gain that extra gold, go back to hitting passive, that's a lot of burst damage, but pulling it off is a little tough right now.
Yeah, still. It's interesting. I look forward to seeing more gameplay, more Gangplank.
What do you think visually?
I don't like his new voice. We've kind of discussed this when he first came out. A lot of his skins don't really work aesthetically anymore.
The Spectre one looks really good. They added like different effects depending on like if he's a ghost or not. So the barrels are ghostly, his fire's ghost. That's pretty cool. The Sailor just doesn't fit anymore. Patriot looks good.
I mean, the special ops one is still really neat with the helicopter and everything.
Yeah.
But I feel like with all the effects they did for Black Ops Teemo, like if they had the Black Ops Teemo helicopter instead of just the VFX, I think it would be really cool. But that's just me. I don't like it as much as old Gangplank.
No, I think the second iteration of Gangplank was probably the best they had. This does fit with the lore a bit more, and the fact that he kind of has like the Kraken and all that stuff on him looks nice. I do appreciate that detail. But then again, we have seen this Gangplank for 5 years now, so seeing him switched up is kind of it's a jarring thing.
Indeed. But I'm going to go ahead and give him a 6. I mean, doesn't do as much. He doesn't have that that sort of mid-late game dominance that he used to have. A really scary Trinity Force Gangplank that just sort of weathered the lane phase. It was really frightening. And now, I guess I'm partially mad because Gangplank was a good counter to Riven, and Riven's absurd right now with their animation canceling, and it's not as strong anymore, and that makes me sad. And I also... Gangplank's the first character to have an auto-attack modifier that worked at range.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird to tinker with him at all, but not my favorite anymore. I dislike the way his passive was changed to be non-interactive with the part of his kit that you're using the most. It just feels like you're stacking it the wrong way. Not having a slow on his kit and not having a reliable move speed burst means that he's going to spend most of his time chasing and not dealing damage.
But that's what the speed buff from his ult is for.
So now your only slow is your ulti, and I just don't feel like it's been a helpful change for a character that is otherwise very niche. He's a character that doesn't have gap closer, character that doesn't have a good escape. So his main strength was, if I kind of approach right, I can get out of a snare, hit once, and sort of back up. And he's a very unconventional poke character, and that was really cool. And I feel like they've toned that down a lot, and I dislike it.
I give him a 7. The reason why I'm going a little bit higher is because I know that a lot of people are going to finally figure out how to use barrels and how to use him effectively. Now that I think about it, his main source for chasing is his ultimate with Raise Morale, even though no one uses it, even because it's not strong enough. If that gets boosted up, if any of his ultimate abilities get boosted up, that will help out. His passive, again, it's, we want you to use all these range things, but your passive is melee.
Strictly melee.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, where do you want to be building? And no one knows really how to build him yet. So we'll see. Give him a 7. He has potential. Hopefully people find out how to play him better in the future. So
Indeed.
Speaking of pirates, part 2 of the Bildgewater event is out.
So this one, again, you pick between Graves and Fisted Tate. I picked Graves both times. I don't really like Twisted Fate.
I picked Twisted Fate because I think his icons look a little bit better. They're not like, super great, but I feel that they kind of look better as icons.
Indeed. And I've been playing support, so the CS challenge was a little bit of a drag.
See, I had to do the CS for Twisted Fate as well.
Yep. You had to kill a lot of bad guys.
Yeah, so it was hard. I think I can't pull up the thing offhand without pulling up League itself. Unfortunately, can't do that. So I had to get 3 wins for my second tier for Twisted Fate and
I had to kill
25,000 minion kills or something.
25,000?
2,500. That seems like it.
2,500?
Yeah.
I don't think it was that high. That's like 25 games. For Graves, it was 10 ARAM towers and 400.
Oh no, it was 250. I was thinking gold from first round. Whoops. Yeah, that's the problem without being able to pull up the the thing while
You
we're talking.
fool!
Well, they don't have it on the main site. You have to be in game to pull it up.
Well, that's kind of interesting though, making use of that Adobe reader.
Man, we got to use that Adobe Air as much as we can to make it valid.
Mm.
But yeah, the event's still interesting. They just unlocked a second set of skins. This is the Garen, the Quinn, and the Aatrox skins. $750 each. We said that we really like the Aatrox. The Quinn one looks decent, and the Garen is weird.
I dislike the colors on the Aatrox skin. I think the Garen one is okay, and the Quinn one is wonderful. I've seen the Quinn in game. It's really good looking.
I like Sharkman.
I like it too. I just don't like the colors on it.
Right.
I think they're too stark. I think it could be washed out, and it would look awesome.
I think that they need to give him some chroma skins. No, I'm kidding. I think the last skin that they're going to be unlocking is the Misfortune, or the Misfortune. Captain Misfortune. I was like, it's something to do with Gangplank, but
involves hearts.
Yeah, I think this is supposed to be like the end of event. She rises up to power and becomes captain. The event story is very long, but it's mainly
TLDR. Graves blows up some stuff following Twisted Fate. In part 2, they get to Butcher's Bridge. Graves blows up some more stuff, and then Twisted Fate's like, dude, and then 100 people come out and they're like, you guys are dumb, and they fight other guys so that way they can escape and fight each other more. Kind of weird, but it ties into the event. So
I think there's stuff with Misfortune and Gangplank in
there
that
is
too somewhere.
It's littered in. It's building up to the climax, but very interesting.
It's lore, something that we've been bitching out for a while.
That's correct, Wendy.
I got bored reading it because it was just a lot of like banter. It's like, just show, don't tell.
You don't like dialogue?
Yeah, I want more descriptions instead of he throws his card, he blocks the card, he blows things up, things explode.
Yeah, those don't translate very well. On the PBE right now, we've got a couple of chroma skins. Nothing outrageous, to be honest. We're kind of in the midst of a slow patch cycle. We just had a really big, crazy patch, and I think they're trying to figure out how to change Devourer right now. So we haven't seen anything about that. But the chroma skins, we've got Cassiopeia.
Decent colors. The black and purple is kind of nice, and the dark blue and the gray, pretty good. The brown, not so much.
Cassiopeia is an easy one to change, so I feel like this is a long time coming. Dragon Slayer Vayne got one. This one does not look very good.
No.
The white and the blue is a unique look for her, but the other ones are very
bright,
they're very odd. There was an older version where the colors were a little bit more washed out, and I actually liked the older versions better. And instead, they in the new versions, they made them a lot more stark, and I dislike that.
And finally, we have Nami. She got a few colors, blue, green, and I think like pink, but I think they've changed it. I like these. They've changed it so her armor is different colors.
She's
as well as her
vibrant.
Yeah, and
so that's the thing. Characters like Nami, these vibrant colors rather, work really well. When you've got sort of a mundane, sort of leathery set, it works. You have to make your textures match the materials that are on the character.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that I've seen. League is not a visually impressive game, but they do a lot with their textures. And when you have games using PBR, physically based rendering, where you really take the materials in mind when they're doing texture work, when you see stuff like this, you're like, this is, I know it's League, but come on.
Right.
They do a lot with textures, and they do a lot with their graphic engine, and I want them to really push the envelope and not just go for the easy one.
Which they're trying to do with some of these newer characters, like Echo has some unique stuff going on with his abilities.
But they're charging RP for these chroma packs.
That is true, and they're still extremely expensive, $750 still.
Yeah, and that's on top of the skin you'd have to buy for it anyway. Yeah. So, a little goofy, but we'll see what makes it to the live patch here in a couple weeks, guys. Pretty neat stuff.
Finally, one thing I don't think we've actually talked about yet. How do you feel about the new UI?
It's not actually in ranked. they haven't put it in yet. It's on Butcher's Bridge and normal modes and custom games. I do not like it.
You have to hold down C to see your ability power.
Yeah, it's really silly. You have to really look for some of your stats. And there's no, like, green to show that you've got buffs. There's no easy way to read when you've got different things on your character affecting your strengths and weaknesses. It's not good. The sounds are nice. The iconography for mana is nice.
Yeah, knowing when things up and when things down, great. Seeing your allies' cooldowns on your ults, something we've wanted for a long time, super helpful.
Yeah, rather than just green dots. Like, good luck guessing which win is ready.
Yeah. I would like to see my allies' names on their characters. I don't want to have to hit tab to do so. I want to scroll over. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's a big thing that I think I dislike about this, is there's a lot more times where I just have to mouse over something and be like, what is that?
And the menu for, like, when you press tab to see, like, the full blown out thing, it shrunk. Mm-hmm. I liked it being big and giving me all the info, but it's so tiny. Like, I can't just tab on a glance look because everything's big. It's like, all right, I'm looking for this guy. Boom, 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 go, done. This one I have to hold down, squint, hover over what they have because I can't tell what the icon is because it's too small. And I'm playing on a big screen. I'm playing on a 36-inch TV. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of complaints. Everybody I was playing with did not like it. People on the enemy team were like, wow, this looks like crap. Or, man, I can't tell what's going on. And I hate the fact that they moved all my items from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. That took a while to get used to.
Yep, and it's still in ranked, too. The old UI. So you swap between them when you're playing normals and practicing, and ranked when you're playing.
There should have been a toggle. A beta toggle.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, they forced people to play unranked in this, and then once you get used to it, you got to go back to ranked.
Whoops.
It's garbage, and a lot of people that do enjoy it,
they're goofballs.
I'm not going to say they're goofballs. They're probably someone like me that has also played Dota that's used to having it on the left side. But again, when I'm in League mode, I'm thinking old UI.
Indeed. But that's really it.
1 out of 10.
The one big thing that I think is good is just having all of it kind of compact.
Right.
Getting a little bit more out of the screen is nice, even if it's just a sliver more. That's the nice part.
There's more room for ads and cameras.
Yeah, that was the point. Which is sad. Yeah. Your streaming community is big. It's not that big. But we're going to move on to our own section here.
Our first question comes from us because no questions this week.
What a cruel world.
And I've been watching a lot of esports at work, and I've been lost between Dota and League. For League, what's your favorite team you're rooting for in the North American?
Solo Mid, as usual. They're just solid guys. They play really well. They've done a lot better this year than they have almost any other year. So it's really nice to see a good comeback like that. Solo Mid employs a lot of people that I like, so it's hard not to root for them.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Gravity and TSM. I was rooting for Cloud9, but they're having such a bad season, it sounds like they're going to get eliminated from this current split. And seeing Gravity, a team that hasn't been in... I think they came from Challenger, but I'm not sure. But seeing a team like that going against Liquid and CLG and Team Impulse and TSM, that's cool to see a new team in the format. Like, more teams are breaking out of Challenger and actually getting into the LCS.
Well, good, because that was a lot of disappointment coming out of the Challenger stuff the past 2 seasons. So it's nice to see something actually happen with that.
Right.
But that's it for questions this week, guys. We actually really need them. It helps round out our show. We get an angle from you guys, and it just lets us know that people exist. So if you have any questions for us about the show, about Spastic Gaming, about League of Legends, about video games, about real life, about how to look at girls and make fun of them, I don't know. What do? Ask us questions. Post it in the comment section below. Send it to our email at spasticgaming@gmail.com, or post it on our Facebook, Twitter, or website, all of which are linked in the information down below.
We have a Patreon, patreon.com/spasticgaming. Always could use some help if you guys want to help out the show and make it grow and be better. Because of Patreon, we were able to get a SoundCloud subscription, so we can actually put all of the episodes on SoundCloud. People are listening, people are downloading, so we know it's working and it's worth it. And we can always do more. We can get more podcasts out. We can get more shows in general.
Yeah, you get all kinds of bonus community features.
Maybe even a video from us.
But that's it for the show this week, guys. We're running a little long, but really looking forward to Act 3 of Bildgewater, and we'll have a lot of fun footage for you from that. But this has been Axis.
And Water Elemental. We have figured out which champion we want to do our lore video on.
I have to go!
Why does he always leave me?
Door noise!